Namaste everyone, I'm your co-host Shawnee ma'am. Welcome to your favorite learning channel. The topic for today's video is artificial methods of vegetative propagation. So in our previous video, we had learned about the natural methods of vegetative propagation. We saw how different vegetative parts of the plant such as roots, leaves, stem give rise to new plants. So today we will be seeing how artificial methods of vegetative propagation helps in producing new progeny plants or new baby plants. So this artificial method of vegetative propagation is actually performed or it is practiced by the gardeners. So this helps, that is artificial methods of vegetative propagation. It helps in combining the good varieties of plants. Combining the good varieties and it also helps in quick production. It helps in the quick production of new plants. So this is the advantage of artificial methods of vegetative propagation. So some of the artificial vegetative propagation methods today we will be discussing. Okay. So first method we would discuss is cutting. So what happens here? A small portion of stem is cut. Small portion of the stem. This small portion of stem is cut and it is placed, after cutting it is placed in soil, and this later on, what happens? Later on it turns into or grows into a new plant. Okay, so this method of cutting can be practiced in case of rose. Okay, so next we will move on and discuss about the next method, that is grafting. So what happens in grafting? It is actually performed between two plants. It is performed between two plants, and these two plants are of closely related varieties. Okay, so two plants that are closely related varieties of each other, between them this grafting is performed. So the shoot and root of the plants that are of superior quality are taken for grafting. They are taken for grafting. Okay, and this shoot that is taken for grafting is called scion, and the root that is taken for grafting is called the stalk. Okay, and these are of superior qualities. Then what is done is the stalk and scion are tied together. Stalk and scion, they are tied together. Okay, so this later on develop into a new plant. Okay, this develops into a new plant having the qualities. This plant has the qualities having the qualities of both the varieties of both the varieties, that is having the variety of both the shoot, that is scion, as well as the root, that is stalk. Okay, so grafting can be performed in case of grafting can be performed in mango, etc. Okay, so now let's move on to the next method or next technique of artificial vegetative propagation. So it is budding. So here what happens, a bud along with a portion of stem of desired plant is taken. From a desired plant, what is taken? A bud that is along with a portion of stem is taken. Okay, from desired plant, a bud along with the portion of its stem is taken. Okay, so it is then inserted into a small slit. Then this is inserted, this which is taken, that is a bud along with the stem from a desired plant, this is then inserted. It is then inserted. Where is it inserted? It is inserted into a small slit. That is made on the bark of. It is made on the bark of another plant. Okay, here it is inserted. So both are tied together. Again, both of them are tied together. Okay, and this method of budding can be practiced in case of plants like plum rose, etc. Okay, then we'll talk about another technique called layering. So what is done here is, in this, stem of a plant is bent down. Stem of a plant is bent down. Okay, so the stem is bent down to where? To the soil, and in the area where it touches, the area where the stem touches, so the area where it touches the soil, okay, that area, what happens? That area roots develop, and this can later emerge into, they can on a later stage emerge into a new plant. Okay, so this is the technique of layering, and this can be practiced in case of climbing rose. Okay, so now let's revise the things that we have covered today. So we today discussed about the artificial methods of vegetative propagation. Okay, so here we saw different methods of vegetative propagation that are performed artificially. So these methods are usually practiced by the gardeners, and this method actually helps in combining the good varieties, and it also helps in the quick production of new plants. So here we discussed about four different methods of artificial vegetative propagation. One is cutting, then grafting, then we discussed about budding and layering. So first we started with cutting. So in cutting, what happens is a small portion of stem is actually cut and then it is placed in soil, and this later on grows into a new plant. This can be practiced in case of rose. Okay. So in cutting, what happens? A small stem is cut and it is placed in the soil. Here we can see, and it later on grows into a new plant. Then we discussed about grafting. So in grafting, what happens? It is performed between those two plants which are closely related varieties of each other. So here a shoot and a root of the plants that are of superior quality are chosen for grafting, and here the shoot is called the scion and the root is called the stalk. So this is the root and this is the shoot. They are of superior quality and these are chosen between the plants which are of related varieties, and these are the root and the shoot, that is the stalk and the scion, are tied together, and then this later on develops into a new plant. They are tied together and which further will develop into a new plant, and such new plant will have the qualities of both the varieties of the plants. Okay. So this can be performed in case of mangoes, etc. Okay. Then we talked about budding. So in budding, what we discussed, a bud is taken along with the portion of a stem from a desired plant. Then it is inserted into a small slit, and this slit where this bud along with the stem is being inserted, this slit is being made on the bark of another plant. Now both of these plants, that is the bud along with the stem that is inserted into the slit on another plant's bark, both of these are tied together. Okay, and this will further give rise to new plants. For example, this can be performed in case of plum rose. Then we also discussed about the layering technique. In layering, what happens? A stem of a plant is bent down to the soil. So one of the stem here is bending down to the soil. Okay, so in the area where it touches the soil, the roots develop, okay, which can later emerge into a new plant. Okay, so the area where the stem is touching in the soil, here roots develop and that further develops into a new plant. This can be practiced in case of climbing rose. So this technique is called layering. So I hope you all would have got some great insights by watching today's video. Please do not forget to like and share the video. Till then, thank you for watching.